Imagine waking up one morning, your heart pounding, your body trembling uncontrollably. You try to breathe deeply, but the air feels thin, the walls closing in. Your mind is foggy, confused. Every ache in your limbs, every pang in your chest, every moment of despair traces back to a horrifying truth. One that isn't your fault, yet has defined your entire existence. You realize that your trembling hands, your difficulty breathing, your clouded thoughts are not random ailments. They stem from decisions made long before you took your first breath. Your mother was your cousin. Your father, your uncle. The family tree isn't a tree at all, but a twisted vine, choking itself in its own coils. You are not the product of love, but of a calculated breeding program designed to preserve power and wealth, no matter the cost to the fragile human life you embody. This is not fiction. It was reality for countless women throughout history, trapped in a web of genetic destiny they never chose. To understand these women, you must first grasp the dark logic that created their suffering. For centuries, European royalty believed that marrying within their own bloodline would preserve their divine right to rule. Their blue blood was seen as literally different, purer, blessed by God Himself. By the 16th century, European royal families had become one massive web of cousins marrying cousins, uncles marrying nieces, siblings producing heirs who would rule vast empires. But what they didn't understand, what no one could understand at the time, was that they were creating a genetic nightmare. This nightmare echoed through generations, claiming bodies and minds alike. The Habsburg family, rulers of Austria and Spain, perfected this dark art of self-destruction. Their family motto might as well have been, "Let others wage wars, you, happy Austria, marry." But their marriages were not happy. They were genetic disasters that produced some of history's most tragic figures. Take Maria Anna of Austria, born in Vienna in 1634, a child who never knew a day without pain. Her body was already marked by the Habsburg curse, the result of generations of cousins marrying cousins, a family tree so tangled it resembled a noose. From early childhood, you watch as she struggles to walk, her spine curved unnaturally, her posture hunched, her breathing shallow. Her jaw protrudes so severely that she can barely eat solid food. Servants cut her meals into tiny pieces. But even then, eating is an exhausting ordeal of careful chewing and cautious swallowing. But her physical torment pales in comparison to the psychological anguish. She grows up surrounded by portraits of ancestors, each face reflecting the same deformities she carries. She realizes with terrible clarity she is not unique. She is the latest victim in a centuries-old lineage of genetic catastrophe. Court physicians whisper about a curse, but never to her face. They offer no relief, only bloodletting and prayers. Her days pass in dimly lit rooms, hidden from the world and vice versa. Yet Maria Anna's sharp mind becomes her refuge. She reads voraciously, discovering worlds where bloodlines do not dictate fate, where love, not lineage, defines family. But reality intrudes relentlessly. Physicians measure her deformities, documenting her like a case study. Potential suitors, her cousins, recoil in horror. Marriage negotiations end quickly once her condition is known. She dies young at 32, her death certificate listing various ailments. But the true cause was the accumulated weight of genetic damage wrought by ancestors obsessed with purity over compassion. You now find yourself in late 15th century Spain, witnessing the tragic life of Joanna of Castile, known to history as Juana la Loca, Joanna the Mad. Born in 1479 to Isabella and Ferdinand, the Catholic monarchs who reshaped Spain through conquest and expulsion. Joanna's life was destined to be entwined with power and pain. Her parents were cousins, like so many European royals, part of the same inbred web designed to secure political alliances and divine right. Joanna, educated and intelligent, was fluent in several languages and seemed destined for greatness. But the seeds of destruction were sown deep in her genes. Her marriage to Philip the Handsome of Burgundy was arranged to strengthen alliances. Yet it became a battlefield. Philip was unfaithful and cold, while Joanna's love for him was intense, obsessive, and all-consuming. Others called her mad. But was she? You watch as Joanna's mind unravels, not through madness born of whimsy, but through the crushing weight of isolation and betrayal. Marriage, her supposed sacred duty, became a cage. When Philip died suddenly in 1506, Joanna's grief morphed into something darker. She refused to let go, traveling with his coffin across Spain, opening it to kiss his decomposing body. This horrific image reveals the depth of her loneliness. Deprived of genuine human connection, clinging to the only love she ever knew. Her father, Ferdinand, and later her son, Charles V, branded her mad, locking her away for 46 years in the convent of Santa Clara in Tordesillas. The conditions were brutal. Dark, cold rooms, minimal food, denied hygiene. Reports tell of her tearing clothes, screaming for hours, and going weeks without washing. Yet, what caused this breakdown? Modern historians now see Joanna's madness as a political tool, an excuse to sideline a legitimate queen who threatened the throne. They recognize symptoms of severe depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress exacerbated by decades of isolation and abuse. Her family's bloodline, riddled with inbreeding, carried patterns of mental illness. Her great-grandmother showed similar episodes. Her daughter, Catherine of Aragon, would later battle severe depression. Joanna's tragic fate was the product of genetics compounded by cruelty and political expediency. She died in 1555, imprisoned and erased from history, remembered not as a queen wronged, but as a madwoman. Picture yourself as a little girl in the grand yet suffocating halls of the Spanish court in 1651. You are Margaret Theresa, daughter of King Philip IV of Spain and his niece Maria Anna of Austria, a union so closely knit that no one bats an eye. In this world, uncles marry nieces, cousins wed cousins, all in the relentless pursuit of preserving royal blood. Your childhood is anything but carefree. Instead of dolls and laughter, you are draped in heavy court gowns, taught to perfect languages, dance, and music. But always with the looming expectation to produce heirs. You look into a mirror painted by Diego Velázquez, the royal court artist who captures your small face with haunting precision. Your jaw protrudes slightly, a telltale sign of the infamous Habsburg jaw, a physical mark of generations of inbreeding. Your eyes seem distant, and your posture hints at the spinal problems lurking beneath the surface. As you grow, the physical toll becomes undeniable. Walking is painful. Your fragile body weakens with every passing year. Despite your youth, you are promised in marriage to your uncle, Leopold I, the Holy Roman Emperor, a man more than a decade your senior and your father's brother. The wedding is celebrated with grandeur, but for you, it marks the end of childhood and the beginning of relentless pressure. The court expects you to bear children immediately, healthy heirs to continue the Habsburg dynasty. Your pregnancies are fraught with tragedy. A daughter survives only months, a miscarriage follows, and finally, a son who inherits the genetic afflictions that plague your family. Each birth weakens you further, anemia, seizures, and respiratory troubles become constant companions. Court physicians record your decline clinically, oblivious to the underlying genetic curse. The royal court mourns not your suffering, but the potential loss of heirs. At 21, you pass away. A young life extinguished beneath the weight of expectations and hereditary afflictions. Your body a silent testament to centuries of royal inbreeding. Imagine being uprooted at 14 from the familiar palaces of Madrid and thrust into the opulent, cold court of Versailles. You are Anna of Austria, daughter of Philip III of Spain and Margaret of Austria. Yet another product of a bloodline, where uncles married nieces and cousins were betrothed without question. Your arrival in France in 1615 is met with grand celebrations, but beneath the splendor, you face an impossible burden. You must secure peace between two warring nations by marrying Louis XIII, a king as distant and troubled as you. Louis is a man tormented by his own demons. Historians speculate he suffered from severe depression and personal conflicts that left him emotionally unavailable. You find yourself isolated in a foreign land, struggling with your own genetic afflictions, a protruding jaw that makes speech and eating difficult, developmental delays, and a persistent cloud of anxiety and depression that follows you like a shadow. Your early pregnancies end in heartbreak, miscarriages, and infant deaths stacking one upon another. Each loss deepens your despair, yet the court blames you, subjecting you to humiliating treatments, bloodletting, purges, and intrusive medical examinations meant to find fault in your feminine nature. Public gossip brands you cursed, unfit to be queen. The pressure drives you further into isolation, developing agoraphobia, a fear so intense that you hide away in your chambers, avoiding the court's gaze. Your marriage deteriorates. You and Louis live separate lives, connected only by duty. Religion becomes your refuge, hours spent in prayer, clutching onto faith as your only anchor amid the storm. Finally, after 23 years of torment, you give birth to a healthy son, the future Louis XIV, the Sun King. The court rejoices, but for you, this is bittersweet. Your years of suffering remain, your mind and body scarred by the toll of royal expectations and a cursed lineage. Your life ends in 1666, outliving your husband, leaving behind a legacy not just of political success, but of human resilience amid unrelenting pain. And now, we arrive at the end of this tragic genealogy. The final act in a centuries-long play written in blood, secrets, and deformity. His name is Charles II of Spain, and he is known to history by a cruel moniker, El Hechizado, the Bewitched. Born in 1661, Charles is the most inbred royal in all of European history. His family tree is a circle. His parents, Philip IV of Spain and Maria Anna of Austria, were uncle and niece, both descended from multiple generations of Habsburg intermarriages. His pedigree was so tight-knit that he had more grandparents named the same than different. Geneticists now estimate his inbreeding coefficient at over 25%, equivalent to the offspring of a brother and sister. At birth, Charles is a fragile, sickly child. He cannot speak until age 4. He cannot walk until he's nearly 8. He drools constantly, suffers frequent seizures, and cannot chew his food due to his grotesquely enlarged jaw. The infamous Habsburg jaw, taken to its most extreme form. Eating becomes a chore so dangerous that he sometimes chokes while dining. His tongue is so large it impedes clear speech. His limbs are underdeveloped, his immune system is pitifully weak. Still, he is crowned king, not because he's capable, but because there is no one else left. The dynasty that once ruled a vast empire now leans on a boy more ghost than monarch. Charles's court is filled with superstition and whispers. When doctors fail to improve his condition, priests and exorcists are called instead. They blame witches. They say he is cursed. And in some ways, he is, not by magic, but by centuries of incest. He is married twice, both times to foreign princesses. Neither union produces children. His body, exhausted by disease and deformity, is incapable of reproduction. He becomes a living symbol of imperial collapse, the final Habsburg of Spain, the culmination of a genetic house of cards. By his 30s, Charles is nearly blind, partially paralyzed, and plagued by hallucinations. His autopsy report, possibly apocryphal but widely quoted, claimed his body was filled with a single black testicle, a head full of water, and a heart the size of a peppercorn. He dies in 1700 at the age of 38, childless and broken. His death sparks the War of the Spanish Succession. But more than that, it marks the end of a dynasty that had consumed itself from the inside out, not with enemies, but with blood. What brought the Habsburgs down was not war, not rebellion, not plague, not betrayal. It was the quiet, unquestioned belief that blood, their blood, was holy. That royal essence, once diluted, would spell ruin. So they kept their seed locked within palaces, circulating it like relics in a tomb, father to daughter, uncle to niece, cousin to cousin, not for love, not even for lust, but for lineage. The irony? In protecting their line, they destroyed it. From Juana la Loca to Charles the Cursed, the Habsburg dynasty reads like a medical case study wrapped in velvet. A century-long tragedy with no villains and no heroes. Only victims born into gold-crusted cages, their minds and bodies bent by the very throne they were told was sacred. But this is more than a Habsburg tale. It's a caution whispered through time. We imagine kings and queens as distant beings, above us, removed from the wear and tear of ordinary life. But when we trace their lineages, when we peel back the portraits and scroll through the bloodlines, we find the same fragile flesh, the same veins, the same cracked bones and broken hearts. And if anything is inherited from this dark legacy, let it not be crowns or crests. Let it be the wisdom to know power must never be preserved at the cost of humanity. Because empires rot from the inside. And sometimes, their bones tell the tale better than their histories ever could.